All right, this is case number 1, United States versus Luxembourg. Can we have the opening statements, please?
In 2015, we passed the Competitive Act, and
In 2017, Luxembourg tried to file their own space mining claim, and it brought issues of controversy up because if one country was allowed to mine in space, and a lot of countries were going to want to mine in space, and it was very controversial, so we had to find ways to address that.
The Exhibit 1, the timeline of our court case.
In 2015, the U.S. passed the CSLCA, allowing private companies to claim ownership of mined resources. And in 2017 to 2020, Luxembourg passed similar laws and invested heavily on space startups, and concerns emerged the United Nations about whether these laws are breached and if people don't like it on space. In 2021, international discussions intensified as more private companies expressed interest in mining standards.
Can we have our expert's opinion on the court case, please?
So just to clarify on who's here, it's Luxembourg versus the United States. Luxembourg tried to create the U.S. tried to create laws against allowing people to mine and whatnot on the planet. They created these so that other people would have a chance to later on, possibly if they could figure out how to regulate it, so that big countries couldn't just take over all of the mining and whatnot.
The ruling of this court case was that no nation themselves can own space or any entities in space, and that no person themselves can own anything in space. So without laws like this, one country could claim a bunch of asteroids and create a big market cap in the future that will prevent other countries from getting into the space specter. The expert's opinion on the case?
What we should do eventually is we need to make laws so that we can go to space, because there's a lot of useful minerals up there that we could use to help fuel our economy. We just need to figure out how to regulate it so that there's not going to be a bunch of warring over who owns what territories.
And now on to case number 2. We have the FCC versus SpaceX over Starlink. Opening statements, please.
So Starlink is designed to help underserved and remote areas, and it can also operate in low Earth orbit while following all of these regulations. And it is important that we are able to keep that for the future of technology and bring that into the future and into space industry.
oh, and then other statement for the FCC. So, pretty much they created, or it was an explosion that went around, and it's pretty much it.
Okay, the timeline of the case that is presented.
In 2019, the first batch of Starlink satellites is launched. In 2021, astronomers raised concerns about light pollution. 2022, competitors like OneWeb, Amazon Projector Kuiper, and challenged SpaceX satellites license. And in 2023, the FCC begins reevaluating the licenses to make sure they're valid.
Can we have our expert's opinion on this case?
Just clarify who's here. It's the FCC who is trying to regulate on what satellites can be deployed and let out license for that. It's also SpaceX who is currently trying to set out a bunch of satellites, which could cause a lot of problems with Amazon, because Amazon wouldn't have a way to get as much internet as they need, or what they need to send their stuff out for their facilities.
Okay, the ruling on the court case was that the FCC has come out and they've made stricter guidelines on what is required to go up into space. That way it is safer and it can cause less collision, which will lead to explosions and debris falling onto US. It also made it harder for someone to own a monopoly in the satellite industry. Can I have the expert opinion on the ruling?
The only problem with that is people like me who are trying to keep their internet fast, so to keep their satellites safe, and the other people like Amazon, that there's still a chance that satellites collide and that there's massive debris in space which could destroy our space, and people like me don't want that to happen.
How will this case be applied in the future?
So we have updated our regulations to follow all these new rules, and even though we did this, this is gonna be something that applies to a lot of companies, that they're gonna have to balance between what they want to achieve and these regulations that are restricting what they can do. So we just need to make sure that we can find that balance and stay within that for future satellite companies like SpaceX.
Court is adjourned.